Hello everyone, GoldenNova here, and it's time once again to show off some custom cards. Every month I challenge my patrons to flex their creativity with a particular prompt, and with summer right around the corner, it's time we celebrate the most festive of seasons with cards all about it. So let's see what we've got in the tank for the June 2025 Custom Card Showcase. Today's episode is possible thanks to viewers like you, as well as my patrons. If you like what I do here, I would super appreciate it if you'd subscribe to help us reach another wonderful milestone video, and if you want to support me directly while getting some awesome benefits, check out the link to my Patreon in the description below. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is no stranger to the hottest season. Some Summer Summoner was a solid link monster you can access in Thunder Dragon, and just recently reprised their role as cool guy on a card with Summer Schoolwork Successful. And so, since we've introduced the concept of schooling, Knight JCB has expanded on it with a class full of light attribute Thunder type monsters that are just waiting for that last school bell to ring for some summer celebration at the beach. Some Summer Students is a level 4 monster with 1600 attack and defense, and while you control another Some Summer monster, this card can attack twice during each battle phase. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Some Summer monster from your deck to your hand, except Some Summer Students. Then, if Some Summer Shore is in the field zone, you gain 500 life points. While your Some Summer Link monster points to this card as a quick effect, you can target this card, banish it until the end phase, then once this turn, any damage you would take becomes 0. So we have a Stratos and a double attacker wrapped up into one. So give this thing a boost or two, mayhaps from our field spell, and this student body will be ready to body the competition. It also dodges removal, which is nice, while also helping to negate attacks by way of zeroing out battle damage. The thing that trips me up here though is why it necessarily has to target itself to do any of this. It could just say that it banishes itself until the end phase, and there's no existing card I can think of that synergizes with having to target itself specifically, and we're certainly not getting any cards later on in this section that enlighten us to the matter. Some Summer Teacher is a level 5 monster with 2100 attack and 1000 defense, and if you control no monsters, or all monsters you control are light thunder monsters, minimum 1, except Some Summer Teacher, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then, add a Some Summer Spell or Trap card from your deck to your hand. Also, if Some Summer Shore is in the field zone, you gain 500 life points. While your Some Summer Link monster points to this card as a quick effect, you can target this card, then target one other light thunder monster that you control except a copy of this card, to banish this card until the end phase. Then, once during this turn, the second target cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. This is a pretty solid extender. Search this off of Students, Special Summon Teacher, and now you have a support card on hand. And then you get to protect your Light Thunder cards, which is pretty neat. It's kinda like keeping them out of trouble by teaching them a lesson. Some Summer Lifeguard is a level 6 monster with 2500 attack and 1800 defense. If any number of Light Thunder monsters are normal or special summoned except Some Summer Lifeguard, you can special summon this card from your hand or grave. Then, if Some Summer Shore is in the field zone, you gain 500 life points. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, or when an opponent's monster effect is activated while Some Summer Shore is in the field zone as a quick effect, you can target one Light Thunder monster you control in your main monster zone, banish it, and if you do, negate that attack or effect. Then, if you activated this effect during the battle phase, end the battle phase. This one is bordering on being a little too much. The stat line here is impressive and is easy to get out. Just seeing a Light Thunder being summoned isn't just something you can do on your own turn too, because Some Summer Summoner specifically summons during the opponent's turn, so you have access to this at almost any time. But then you bring in the attack or effect negation that can also end a battle phase, and you've got yourself a pretty wicked creature that is up to no good. Granted, negating the attack is going to be a bit difficult. Remember, it says that it triggers during a direct attack, and because Lifeguards has to be on the field to even activate this effect, it's not going to happen normally. You'll only be able to do this if your opponent has an effect that allows them to attack directly. So it's actually pretty rare that you'll be warding off attacks, but it still answers monsters in general, and if they happen to do so during the battle phase, then I guess they won't have one anymore. Some Summer Shore is a field spell card that has all Light Thunder monsters you control gain 500 attack. During your main phase, you can add one Some Summer monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, or if you control a Some Summer Link monster in your extra monster zone, you can place a Scary Tsunami in Some Summer Shore from your deck or grave face up on your field. And once per chain, if any number of Some Summer monsters are normal or special summoned to your field, you can target one card your opponent controls, and until the end of the opponent's turn, if that card would be returned to the hand by a card effect, shuffle it into the deck instead. The attack buff is pretty solid, and searching you a card each turn is very strong, giving you two very good opening sequences. Either you open with Shore, in which case you can search for Students, summon it, then grab Teacher to summon it, netting you Tsunami, or you open with Students, which then gets you Teacher, which you can summon to get Shore. Use Shore to get Lifeguard, then link Student and Teacher together for Some Summer Summoner. During your opponent's turn, you can pitch Lifeguard to get back Students to grab another copy of whatever monster you want, while triggering the Lifeguard in your graveyard to summon itself, granting you that attack or effect and negation. Now, this isn't the end of the world, as one-card combos are rampant nowadays, and netting yourself a single monster effect negation is pretty tame, but I am wary not just of how easy it is to get a hold of, but how repeatable it is. Not to mention, you have an ability to just end battle phases if your opponent missed sequences. Scary Tsunami in Some Summer Shore is a continuous trap card, and while Some Summer Shore is in the field zone, you can target any number of Light Thunder monsters you control that are linked to a Link monster in your extra monster zone, then target up to that many cards your opponent controls. Or, if you control a Some Summer Link monster in your extra monster zone, you can target up to twice the amount to return your opponent's targeted cards to the hand, then return your targeted cards to the hand. If this card in its owner spell and trap zone is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can shuffle all monsters your opponent controls or all spell and trap cards they control, presumably into the deck. So since we only have the one Some Summer Link monster, Summoner, we can hit up to 4 cards our opponent controls if we're maxed out, which is pretty slick. We get non-destruction removal, and we get to reset our monsters to use their effects again. But remember, Some Summer Shore can set up a lingering effect that turns Return to Hand into Shuffle into the deck. So this is a lot more brutal than it may look on the surface, especially because retaliating against this is met with either a monster wipe or a back row wipe. Overall, these are a fun additional theme to add to an existing monster, and while I think it walks a fine line between good fun and busted with cards like Lifeguard, they aren't so good that they become the best thing you could possibly be doing in a format. It's a solid implementation of a theme that looks fun to play, even if it does lean into a number of existing effect tropes to function. Summer's not just a season for kicking back and absorbing some rays, it can also be about avoiding the sun altogether to play some sweet video games. And those same video game developers know it, which is why summer is a prime time to break out all the summer events, especially if you're the kind of game that keeps your players on the 10 pole. Reimagining the isekai adventures of the Adventurer token as a gacha game, Rebel King Lucifer has released a banner all about giving us some sweet costume changes and some slightly better abilities. I mean, you've got to incentivize people to buy those gem bundles somehow. Not everyone's going to be falling over themselves for the swimsuit Enchantress PNG. I mean, a lot of people will, but not everyone. Enchantress of the Shores is a level 3 fire illusion monster with 1500 attack and 1200 defense, and if this card or your fire adventurer token battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by that battle. Thank you! It's about time someone understood the assignment. If you control an Adventurer token, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you control an Adventurer token, you can place a field spell that mentions an Adventurer token from your deck face up in your field zone. If you control a Fire Adventurer token, add one of these additional effects as well. Either add a non-fire monster that mentions an Adventurer token from your deck or grave to your hand, or cards in your field zone can't be targeted by card effects until the end of your opponent's turn. So the main difference between this version and Water Enchantress is the illusion text, as well as getting some additional juice when going for your field spells. It doesn't get you Rite of Aramis Seer, which is the classic adventurer starter, but these aren't really meant to replace the old monsters, so this is a great complement. And honestly, having another way to get Griffin Rider into your hand is nutty. It's a shame that Magicore Warrior of the Relics is going to have to miss out, but I don't think they're going to want to join in on the summer fun, to be honest. Reclining Griffin Rider is a level 7 Wind-Winged Beast monster with 2000 attack and 2800 defense, and during the main phase, if you control no monsters or control an adventurer token, as a quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is sent to the grave while you control a fire adventurer token, you can target one of your banished spells that mentions an adventurer token and add it to your hand. And while you control a fire adventurer token, your opponent must pay 600 life points to activate cards or effects. So while this isn't an Omni-Negate like the original, it's possibly even more sinister, taxing the opponent for each card activation they do while you've got that fire fire adventurer on the field, and for a pretty intense amount too. It's kind of like forcing your opponent to keep spending on your game to roll for effects, and that's downright diabolical. Reclining on your mount while the gems come flowing in, what a racket. Abyssal Apparatus Tessia is a level 4 water fairy monster with 1000 attack and defense, and if you control an adventurer token, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can shuffle one of your banished cards that mention an adventurer token into the deck to place one Fateful Memories from your deck or graveyard face up in your spell and trap zone. But you can't activate monster effects the turn you activate this effect, except those of monsters that mention an adventurer token, unless you controlled a fire adventurer token when this effect was activated. How good this will be will depend on how good Fateful Memories ends up being, which we'll check in on later in this section, but trust me, being able to shuffle back your banished cards is about to become extremely relevant. Also, I can't get the idea out of my head that this water version of Tessia looks exactly the same, but is bobbing on the ocean like some kind of buoy. I feel like it just fits. Respite of Aramis is a field spell card, and while you control an adventurer token, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, all adventurer tokens you control become fire attribute. At the start of your main phase, if there is a fusion, synchro, xyz, or link monster on the field or in the graves, you can excavate the top 10 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can take up to 3 excavated cards that mention an adventurer token and either add them to your hand or special summon each of them. Also, banish the rest face up, but you can only use this effect of Respite of Aramis once per duel. Also, during your main phase, if you control a face-up card that mentions an adventurer token, you can banish the top card of your deck face up, and once per turn during your standby phase, you can take 2 cards, one from your hand and one of your banished cards, and swap their locations. The problem-solving card text on there is a little strange, but I get the idea. You take a card from your hand, swap it out for one of your banished cards. It's pretty nifty. Though it's not the only problem-solving card text, as it turns out, Respite of Aramis itself counts as a face-up card on your field that mentions adventure token to use the effect that banishes the top card of your deck face up. With those critiques out of the way, wow, a field spell that actually feels good to play in adventure. That's wild. This is what's going to enable your effects that require a fire attribute adventure token, so you'll want to pick this up ASAP. Not only does it help with those cards, you also get your free 10 pull too. You only get to keep up to 3 of them, but the remaining cards will be added to your banished pool, and you can sub out cards from your hand to pick up what you need every turn. Or, if you need to get one of your archetypal cards back into your deck, Abyssal Tessia can shuffle them back into your deck to get our next card. This is probably the most gacha card out of the whole set right now, and as much as I despise how saturated the gaming space is with those, I admit seeing it translated into Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very funny. Not that Yu-Gi-Oh! Itself isn't a gacha game, but that's a whole separate conversation. Fateful Memories is a continuous spell card, and once per turn, the first time any number of monsters you control would be destroyed by a battle or card effect while you control a fire adventurer token, it is not destroyed. During your main phase, you can add a monster that mentions an adventurer token from your deck to your hand, then place one card from your hand on top of your deck. If any number of monsters are normal or special summoned, you can take one of your banished spell and trap cards that mention an adventurer token and either add it to your hand or return it to the grave, and this is treated as being sent to the grave, which is an important distinction for certain cards. Now this is something. It might even overturn the original Fateful Adventure at this point, though that's not really the point. It protects all of your monsters, not just the equipped ones, and it covers battle and effect destruction once per turn per monster. You don't pitch a card to the graveyard after searching with that last effect, which isn't as good for decks looking for that kind of outlet, but it is better for decks that want to reset their garnets back into their deck. And it lets you grab cards that we banished with Respite's effect. The two Fatefuls definitely work better together than one or the other, but it's certainly giving it a run for its money, especially if this was put into that gacha game. I can imagine a big CG of all the characters hanging out on the beach at sunset right now. I feel like this batch of cards accomplished its mission rather well. It had a lot of mechanics that were reminiscent of gacha titles themselves, which in turn fits the theme of this set for how pervasive summer events are in those titles, all while being interesting permutations of the originals without overpowering them completely. And Lucifer remembered what an illusion monster is supposed to do. Folks, big heads up here, if you include a custom illusion monster and it does not have the requisite effect, there will be repercussions. Harry, the ominous benefactor, showed up this month with a summer angle I hadn't really considered. Bonfires! This pivoted to a theme centered around Beltane, a Gaelic summer festival that features ritual summoning, not as many fire monsters as I thought it would, and Dogda, everyone's favorite SMT companion. Hey, thanks for doing us another solid here, Dogda. I promise to choose the Anarchy route next time we play Apocalypse. Bodm, Druidess of the Bellpire, is a level 1 Earth Plant monster with 100 attack and 500 defense. If a Bellpire monster, except a copy of itself, is special summoned to your field, you can special summon this card from your hand or grave. Also, you can't special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except Synchro monsters. If this card is summoned, you can add a Bellpire card from your graveyard to your hand. Now, notably, the recycling effect is a hard once per turn, but the summoning is not. It's kind of like how Mayakashi Daki works. Granted, its small level means it's not going to cover most of the ritual summons that you'll be doing, and you'll be relying on the level 7 tokens the deck can generate to make up the difference. So you're incentivized to send as many cards that you need for your plays right to the graveyard, so that Bodm can put them back into your hand. The clause about allowing synchro summoning may seem odd, but I've been assured that this is to cover future support that will incorporate synchro monsters, so I guess keep an eye out for Bellpire Legacy support in the future? Dogda, War King of Bellpire, is a level 8 Earth Plant Ritual monster with 3000 attack and 1200 defense, and you can ritual summon this card with any Bellpire card. If this card is ritual summoned, target one card your opponent controls and send it to the grave. As a quick effect, when your opponent activates a spell or trap card or monster effect, send a Bellpire card you control to the grave to negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. This pairs well with any spare Bodms that you summon to your field, since you'll be summoning them out every time you special summon a Bellpire, so you might as well use it to stop your opponent. And being able to send a card to the graveyard is great removal on summon. It's not quite Dingirsu levels of powerful this card targets, but we'll take what we can get. It's also easy to use at quick speed, so this makes for some nasty interruption, but we'll get into how that is in just a bit. Morrigan, Crow Witch of Bellpire, is a level 8 Earth Plant Ritual monster with 2000 attack and 3100 defense, and you can ritual summon this card with any Bellpire card. If this card is ritual summoned, add a Bellpire card from your deck to your hand, or if you added a Bellpire continuous trap card, you can place it face up in your spell and trap zone instead. You can reveal this card in your hand to special summon an Effigy token, which is a level 7 Fire Plant monster with 2200 attack and 200 defense. Also, Bellpire cards you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. This is the defense to Dogda's offense, and it provides a lot of value. That token generating effect is no joke, because not only does it give you the 7 levels needed to pair with Bodm for your ritual summons, they're also pretty sizable to boot. It searches you more cards on summon, gets your important continuous trap cards online, and shrugs off opposing interaction. A pretty good turn 1 play if I've ever seen one. Though I have to say, when it comes to Morrigan's, Yu-Gi-Oh's getting a bit cramped right now, and I think we need to find some space. I don't suppose the Bellpires would like to cross over with a particular Witch of Eyes, perhaps one with a few magical stones? Bellpire Ritual of Cleansing is a continuous trap card that, once per turn, can ritual summon a Bellpire from your hand or grave, by attributing 2 or more monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster you ritual summon. And once per turn, it can either special summon an Effigy token, or tribute a plant monster, then target up to 2 cards on the field and destroy them. And while we're on the subject, we might as well quickly cover Bellpire Ritual of Enchanting, which is a continuous trap card that does all the same things that Cleansing does, but instead of the removal effect, you can tribute a plant monster to take control of a target monster your opponent controls until the end of the turn, and is treated as a level 7 Bellpire plant monster while you control it. Having the redundancy is pretty nice. Ritual decks being bottlenecked by having their ritual effects negated is a pretty big concern, but thankfully the cards have their own identity, since they have their individual effect that transforms a plant monster into some kind of value. And remember, Queen Morrigan can just put these onto the field face up so you don't even have to wait to use them. This does, however, confirm that we are a ritual deck without ritual spell cards, cutting off a large chunk of support that we could rely on. Not that I'm complaining, I for one like it when custom sets like this eschew the established support to walk the road less traveled, but just remember that you'll be relying more on Ragnorika than Incantation. What I like most about Bellpires is that they're a relatively simple ritual deck. Those kinds of themes usually have to jump through several hoops to function, and usually end up becoming a tangled mess of play sequences because of it, regardless of what their actual power level ends up being. but if I needed to introduce someone to a ritual summoning deck, I'd probably show them Bellpire. Just, you know, keep the human sacrifices to a minimum, okay? I don't want angry letters from soccer moms again. To round things out, we're gonna head back to the beach, but this time we'll be focusing on a particular aspect of it, the noble art of sandcastling. For eons, humans have used this most ephemeral of building material to craft the most gorgeous, resplendent structures the eye has ever feasted upon. But what if they weren't just art pieces, but battlements used to ward off enemy invaders? That's ReonPotato's vision. So let's take a look at Beach Fortress. Beach Fortress Golem is a level 5 water rock monster with question mark attack and 1300 defense. This card can't be special summoned, and this card's attack is equal to the original defense of all Beach Fortress monsters that you control. As a quick effect, you can reveal this card in your hand to special summon a Beach Fortress token, which is a level 5 water rock monster with 0 attack and 1300 defense, but it can't be used as material to summon a monster from your extra deck. And as it turns out, that's the only Beach Fortress monster you're going to be seeing outside of Golem. Our game plan is going to involve summoning as many of these tokens as possible to make a big Golem, and the more of them we can get onto the field to reinforce each other, the better. In fact, reinforce is probably the perfect word to describe this play strategy, as you are literally building up more and more walls of sand to make your golems more of a threat. But all the same, you have to keep an eye out to defend the fragile components, because otherwise the core will crumble away to nothingness. This is feeling kind of relatable right now, actually, so let's move on to the next card before I'm forced to introspect too much. Beach Fortress Toy Shovel is a normal spell card that lets you activate one of the following effects, but you can only use each effect of this card once per turn. Either add a Beach Fortress monster or trap card from your deck to your hand, or special summon a Beach Fortress token, but it can't be used as material to summon a monster from your extra deck. We have a number of good trap cards coming up for the rest of this section, so getting them into rotation is pretty good. We even have one that makes more Beach Fortress tokens. But if you don't need the help in that regard, you can just activate the second effect to get another token to buff things up. A truly noble task for such a reliable and mythic tool. Beach Fortress Sand Fortification is a normal trap card that special summons a Beach Fortress token, but it can't be used as material to summon a monster from your extra deck. Also, after that, set this card face down instead of sending it to the grave. If this set card is destroyed, target one Beach Fortress card in your grave, except a copy of this card, and add it to your hand. Here we go, our token generator. Combined with the golem in hand, we can make 2 tokens during each player's turn, so it's not actually that difficult to get a full field of sandcastles ready to kick some butt. And because it resets itself, a feature it shares with the future cards in this theme, it plays well with any theme that cares about trap card activations, turns head slowly towards Paleozoics. Beach Fortress Erosion is a normal trap card that tributes a Beach Fortress monster you control to target up to 2 cards in your opponent's graveyard and banish them. Also, after that, set this card face down instead of sending it to the graveyard. This is very similar to Beach Fortress Collapse, which is the same as Erosion, except you tribute a Beach Fortress monster you control to target and destroy a card your opponent controls. They serve as utility, giving you ways to hinder your opponent while you get ready to close things out. Spending the tokens, or heaven forbid your golem, will set you back a bit, but considering how fast we can spawn them in, it's not a huge loss. This is a fun little concept of a deck. It could definitely stand to be pushed a lot more, especially if it wants to have a snowball's chance in hell against anything that was designed using a modern sensibility, but I think the way it plays is very cute and interesting, and I'd love to see more of it in the future. A Beach Fortress 2, if you will. Alright, that does it for all the cards I have for you today, but it turns out we've got a lot more submissions than this. It turns out my patrons are pretty creative, so I'll be showing off the rest of their cards that we didn't get a chance to talk about today over on my Twitch. We'll be going live on June 26th, 2025, so make sure to follow me over there so you don't miss it. And if you want to stay up to date on when exactly we'll be going live that day, I'll be announcing that over on my Discord, so make sure you join that as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and speaking of the people who go above and beyond to support this channel, today's episode is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales that even come with their own lore, and save 5% on your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout. It was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Upstairs Media, and Simic Toadstool, Nebula Navigators, 3rd Dynasty, 50 Gigabytes, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Battle Axe, Kane Senpai, Charlie Mercury, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade Copperbottom, Dr. Reaper, Eric, Frankie, Garland Chaos, Green Knight, Great Big Pillock, Groog, Hair Bear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Carp, Marion James E. Picata, Mean King, Millennia Asta, Muse Clark, Neon Yaminair, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Bat Boos, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, Sonic 21 Blast, The Critic of Innocence, Thievery Coast, and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders Ally Vatnia, Animasta, and Thorak, a Random Pup, Blaze Rider, Blitzwolf, Chaz Ghost, Christopher Fuss, again, Chris B, Cool Trainer Dark, Divine Dragon Felgrind 4123, Dr. Reaper RIP, again, Eki Bullock, Eva Padilla, Herbal D, Inblink, Kale the Dragon, Lobomaru 02, Manga Pages, Martin Moore 2468, Natiel Lee Alexander, Nitromo, Not Al Gore, Nyx, Obsidian, Pombo, Rhyme Kairos, Shizuka Nijimura, Sir Knight JCB, Sphilia, Stephen Huntsman, Stephen Williamson, The Legendary Raven, The Phantom Knights of Shitted Pants, The Queen of Time, The Gene, Tiger X2476, Tristan O'Meara and Zaldreka, as well as the lovely Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the link to my Patreon down in the description, or consider joining as a YouTube member.